Stepping up into this week's sermon preview, going through our Upside Down Kingdom, Sermon on the Mount series. Pastor Nick, where are we headed this week?
You got it. So we're in week 5.
Yeah.
Week 5 of this. And so actually last week we talked about how Jesus said he came to fulfill the law and the prophets. And he ended that section by saying that our righteousness needed to surpass that of the Pharisees and the teachers of the law in order to enter the kingdom of heaven. And that would have been a shocking statement to the people that were there, because they thought, how is that possible? The teachers of the law and the Pharisees, like, their righteousness is unbeatable. It's up here. But the reality is that Jesus was talking about a different kind of righteousness. The Pharisees and teachers of the law, they were talking about a righteousness, I'll say air quotes with righteousness, that they obtained through keeping laws and, prohibitions and commands and things like that. Jesus' righteousness is different in that it looks inward at the heart, at the character of a person, and is it reflecting that of their Father. Right? So what Jesus does then is he takes this idea of righteousness and he gives us 6 different examples about how to live out this righteousness. And so this week we're going to look at that first one. It's going to be Matthew chapter 5, verses 21 through 26. And he starts this passage by saying, "You have heard that it was said to the people long ago, you shall not murder." Okay, Lance, where have we heard that before?
I believe it's the 6th Ten Commandment.
It is the 6th Ten Commandment. Very good. Quick study. And so it's the 6th Ten Commandment. The 6th Tenth Commandment. That doesn't make sense. It is the 6th commandment of the 10 Commandments. And so Jesus says, you have heard that it was said this way, you shall not murder. And if you do murder, you're subject to judgment, right? So this is a teaching from the law. But Jesus says, but I say to you, if you're angry with the brother or sister, you'll be subject to judgment. So Jesus takes this and he turns it inwardly towards the heart, and says, if you have a heart issue, then it's going to lead to something like murder. Let's not just treat the symptom, let's treat the disease type of thing, right? And so he looks inwardly at the heart, and he goes even further there to say, if you're mistreating your brother or sister by saying raka to them or insulting them or saying you fool, right? He's giving these examples of how to mistreat somebody. So Lance, why is it that anger or mistreating people seems to come so easily to us?
I think it's kind of a defense mechanism. If you come at me pretty hard, I'm going to return that anger in anger, or I'm going to meet that kind of fire with fire.
Sure, yeah. It's almost this like the fight or flight response. Like if we're in an uncomfortable situation, something that makes us uncomfortable for whatever reason, like that ends up being somewhat of our default. And Jesus is saying, no, that's not how we should respond. That's not how we should act in the kingdom of heaven. And so it's almost this idea of like we need to live out in a way that values people, that makes it that people matter to us, that we're not putting ourselves above them in that way. So he talks about this anger and how we treat people, but then he immediately moves into 2 pictures about reconciliation, right? So in those moments where we do give into the anger, how do we reconcile that, right? So Lance, why is reconciliation such an important piece of what Jesus talks about?
I think it's just going back to that human nature. We're both human beings. We both need that love and affection, but also that connectivity with each other. And so that anger is going to have that brokenness. And so reconciling gets us back on the same page, back to maybe a peaceful interaction where we can both continue to go do life together.
Right. So kind of maintaining this peaceful relationship, right? And so reconciliation would, at a basic level, would be 2 broken relationships being repaired or restored or mended, right? And so Jesus, he talks about this, how reconciliation it's a really important thing, right? He even puts it in front of certain acts of worship and talks about it with urgency, right? So reconciliation is really important. So as you're thinking about this passage and reflecting on it, read through it. A couple translations can give you different understanding of it, but also reflect on the idea of how does your heart, or the inner workings of your heart, how does that reflect your actions, right? If the inner workings of your heart is corrupted with anger, hatred, malice, whatever, your outward actions are probably going to reflect that, and vice versa. If your heart looks good, then your actions would probably reflect that, and more would reflect what Jesus is calling for here.
Yeah.
So really excited for this Sunday. So Lance, we also have something a little bit different this Sunday, just a short piece of the service that we want people to know about a little bit, in which we're going to present something.
Okay.
And it's a new idea in which we can use a portion of our property here at church for something pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm excited about it.
Me too. Are you going to kind of walk us through it today? Going to make us wait till Sunday?
Yeah, I'm not going to show my hand at this point, or our hand at this point. So we'll show you more of it on Sunday. So you want to make sure and come on Sunday. It's going to be really exciting. I'm really excited about it. I'm pretty passionate about it. It's been kind of in the workings for a long time, actually.
Okay.
And so come on Sunday morning, not just for this passage, but also to hear a short presentation about an exciting opportunity that we have as a church moving forward.
Awesome.
Cool. All right. We'll see you then.
It is upside down.